What's up, everyone? DJ Nubis here with you on the Temperament podcast with another species spotlight on tarantulas, namely the tarantulas that I have in my own collection. I kind of like spotlight the breed and give you some insight and videos and a little bit of some pictures or videos that I might have of my own species that I have in my collection. This time I'm talking about the how do you pronounce this? The Neoholothele Incei, the Trinidad Olive. And so, very kind of gorgeous olive green spider. It's a New World terrestrial, or also fossorial at times. Um, they're a dwarf species, so they only get about 3 inches max. And the interesting thing about the dwarf species, I used to have a Neoholothele mira, which is a bluefoot baboon a while back. It was a male and he passed away some time ago. But again, they only get about yay big. Same with pumpkin patches. And the funny thing is, like, to the ordinary person seeing a spider like this, you would think, oh, is this just a wolf spider because of how big they get? But no, they are tarantulas. And this one's mainly out of Venezuela. It's like, likes dry land and stuff like that. But they take their burrows and they basically do a lot of webbing. They take a lot of foliage and bark that I have in mine. Like, I think I keep mine in a 5-gallon jug or a tub, and here's a picture of mine from the top. Doesn't come out super often, but you can see there it's got the olive green in there going on. Very, very pretty spider. The interesting thing too is that, I judging by, I'm going to show you a couple of videos. One's a pairing video, another one's a rehousing one. And the thing about, like, when I'm watching Dave, his pairing video, which you'll see soon, the male looks a lot different than the female. So I'm hoping that mine is actually a female. I don't know yet because it may not be fully matured, but I've had it for about a year or so now. So we'll see what happens. Because obviously they grow pretty fast. At least this species does. So I won't know exactly unless it hooks out or something or changes color. And of course, a lot of times also you can see by the way that their bodies are built. Usually females are more chunky and more engorged, whereas males are thinner and longer legs and stuff like that. So right now, I'm not really quite sure if I have a female or male. They look about the same early on, and then they kind of differentiate when they mature out. But praying for a female. I've got a lot of males of other species that I've, kind of like biding time before they finally pass. I'm not really a breeder, so unfortunately, I just love them for what they are. And then whenever they pass, it's a sad moment. But then I try to figure I'd go and concentrate more on getting females that last like a lot longer as a species of spider. So they're, as far as temperament, again, these are New World, so they this particular spider doesn't like get very defensive or anything. It's more skittish. It will run and hide more than anything. But it's a very cute little gorgeous species. Sometimes get a little bit of gold mixed in with that green. Feeding habits anywhere between, mini crickets, mealworms that you cut up, to I don't think I'd ever take on dubias unless they're like small dubias, which really at this point, dubias to me aren't really necessary unless I'm going to feed them to my bird eaters, which are much, much larger spiders. So outside of that, I use just large crickets. Seems to do the trick. Though spiders in general can be a little nitpicky or finicky when it comes to what they want to eat. So that's a problem that I see occasionally too. But I got a couple of videos, like I said. First one I have from a guy, Scott's Inverts, which I've never seen this stuff before, but I'll sure to add him to my Metal Time Tarantula Haven channel as far as like, a guy to check out for his content on tarantulas. He's apparently doing it for a little while too. But he's going to show you a rehouse of the spider itself. So here we go, checking out what he's doing.
Check out the setup and this absolutely amazing tarantula. So our spider comes from Venezuela, a little island called Trinidad just off the coast, experiencing 25 to 28 degrees Celsius in the summer, 20 to 25 in the winter, 70 to 80% humidity in the summer, and 65 to 75% in the winter. Up on screen is my adult female, Neoholothele Incei, Trinidad Olive, sometimes referred to as a bumblebee spider. They're a New World fossorial, heavy webbing spider on the smaller side. These spiders are very skittish, very quick to run away, very fast to jump back out the enclosure that you just put them in. So be very, very careful.
That happens with just about any spider, to be honest. Like last night, I had taken my 2 to 3 inch balfour and I'd put it into the other enclosure where I have like a 5 to 6 inch balfour, which is much larger. I thought maybe they might be able to be communal, because naturally they would be, because I put a lot of crickets in there and stuff. But I've also read that one of them's a little bit smaller than the other, and they're not from the same litter, that there could be some predatory instinct. So I ended up taking the little one out and putting her in our own little tub for now, which eventually when I get to cover the balfour, I'll show you all the one species I have. I have some videos and pictures of them. But the little one's the one that got out initially. So when I had it as a spiderling, I went to move it after buying it, got out, got away, couldn't find it. A month later, we found it upstairs. Luckily, the cats didn't eat it and anything like that. So right now, I still have like maybe electric blue running around, which either I'll find it or it will die it off. I'm not sure yet, but we'll find out. But either way, the little one, like I was moving it last night. Like, again, it's very quick, so you got to be quick with these spiders. So a lot of them, if you're not paying attention, man, they don't always go exactly the way you want. Now, I've seen this video already, obviously, but this one is very calm. And even like when you watch Dave, Little Beasties, when he's moving his tarantulas from one enclosure to another, they just seem so calm. Like there's no like boom, spit away, it's type stuff. So I'm envious of that, because sometimes I get lucky and sometimes I don't. That's the thing, right? So some spiders, they're all temperamental on their own level. It doesn't matter if they're old world, new world. I've seen people move, like when I moved my female OBT a couple of years ago, she was fine. She got a little bit more defensive later after she was already built in her new home. But at the time that I moved her from her one enclosure, when I bought her to the new one, she was quite docile in a sense. Still don't want to take any risks, but whereas my male OBT, he'll run first and skittish run, but he gets kind of annoyed very fast. So depending on the species and their temperaments, you never know what you're going to get out of that. But a lot of times, even the skittish spiders will run really fast. But, it just depends.
When you're rehousing them, have plenty of catch cups around you. Now, with the humidity for this one around 70%, we're going in for a light spray just to help kick that humidity off. So I'm going to spray the inside of the enclosure before putting some substrate in. Now, the substrate that I'm using today is peat moss. It's absolutely amazing for burrowing species. And all we're going to do is put 1 inch to 2 inches in, some firm tap downs, and then give that layer a little bit of a spray again with the water, and then repeat that process until we're just over 3/4 of the way up on the side of the enclosure. So, little piece of cork bark for the hide. Now, it doesn't have to be curved or high up, as long as we can create that starter burrow like I'm doing with my thumb just underneath it. That's absolutely perfect for a burrowing spider. Also, you guys know I love moss. Well, we're not putting a ton of moss in this enclosure because I am going to have to destroy it when we get that egg sac.
Yeah, I'm terrible with moss. Like it's moss or plants. Like I'm trying to think of how I'm going to go forward, because like if we ever move to a new place, we have an idea of the place we're going to move, and actually I have a new location where I'll keep my spiders. Another closet space, but this closet has a window. So if and when we make that move, if we get this place, I'm going to go and rehouse all my spiders. Like I'm going to have to catch them, regardless of how fun that's going to be. Catch them, but then like catch them, then like basically go redo their soil. I have master cultures of isopods and springtails that I have for myself that I still put into their enclosures, but it helps if they have like plants and stuff like that they can kind of work with in terms of like keeping the enclosures clean and stuff. So right now, because of the space that I have in it works for all my tarantulas, but there's no like windows or anything for airflow, so I had to keep the door open. I've got like a cage keeping the cats out, but for the most part, I had to keep the door open just to kind of get some circulation going with the air and stuff, which they seem to be fine. It's not like a huge ordeal, but obviously when you're dealing with humidity and stuff, you have to kind of watch what's going on there and make sure that they have enough humidity and water and stuff like that. So I keep their dishes full and stuff like that. But once we get to a new place, I'm going to have to play around a little bit more with the plants, because I really like what Dave does and guys like this, where they can add in some scenery and like make it feel comfortable for the spider, where it's not kind of like boring to look at. But a lot of my moss that I put in, they just end up dying a lot. Like it just sucks. I like pillow moss, but a lot of pillow moss that you come out with have dyes. So you have to be careful. Don't use any kind of moss that has dyes in it, because if you water it, like if you don't water it at all, it's fine. The problem, of course, is if the water does get on, it leaks the dye, and then that could harm the spider itself. So I try to use just legitimate like smegma moss, or if I can find live pillow moss, I will. But there's usually the moss I try to keep by the water dish and stuff like that. But yeah, just keep that in mind if you're going to create your enclosure and bioactive and stuff like that. So watch out for stuff like that.
Cool when we get the babies. So I'm just going to put a little bit in. Now moss takes on 8 times its own weight in water, so it's fantastic for high humidity species, especially when we're looking at New World terrestrials and pairing, like we will be with this Trinidad olive. And that is our enclosure all done, ready to go, ready for the spider. Absolutely awesome. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. These do have a little lip, so when the spiders do try to escape.
I will say technically his enclosure there is sort of perfect for the spider because it is a dwarf. I tend to like a little bit larger enclosures, even if they're smaller, just because I like room to work with. Mainly also because if I want to clean out their water dish, or I have to do something like pull out the crickets, I need room to do that, just for my own comfortability and safety and stuff like that. So some people say, well, man, you got like a really huge enclosure for this particular spider. Well, I'm like, well, there's a reason for that. Like for my pokies, at least my two, my regalis and my Mysore, they're big, and they're males, but I keep myself with some room so that I'm not taking a risk of getting hit or bit or anything like that, because they are very fast too. So in this case, like he's got this, I have to wonder when he goes to feed it, because there's not so much space there. Now the spider itself may web up and go into its burrow. It's like they're very skittish, but at the same time, if you open it up and it runs out, then you're dealing with that, escapee all the time. So you have to be careful with that.
It does kind of stop it and block it. Now here we go. In with our adult female. And again, these can be very skittish. So have plenty of catch cups. Be ready for it to come running out. And we are very, very lucky with this female. She's just gone straight into that enclosure.
So, yeah. So it looks like he also has some sort of, like he has it in another enclosure. So maybe he keeps it. If it gets out, it can't really get out. I don't know. It looks like it could climb up the sides, but either way, that's him doing his rehousing there. And now we're going to watch Dave do a pairing video with the Trinidad Olive. And again, like mine, like I said, from the picture, I look like I have a female, but without knowing for 100% certainty, because the male that he has in Dave's video is a lot different than the way mine looks. So I'm kind of crossing my fingers, hoping that mine is a female for sure, but we hope. But let's check out Dave. He's going to do a pairing video, which is always fun, and we'll see how it goes with the little Trinidad.
I'm going to pair the Neoholothele Incei olive, the Incei olive, or the Trinidad olive. Now, these are a small dwarf spider, and I'm getting rather fond of them. They are really quite cool. And we've actually moved a couple of our adult females over into the 5-litre tubs, and just to see how they go. So we've like half filled them with soil, and the other half is left for webbing. Now, these guys really do a lot of webbing, and bearing in mind, when we look into this one now, this female has only been in there for a week, so she is already webbed up quite substantially. So here we have our Neoholothele Incei, or the Trinidad Olive. That's our male who's just entered in the top of the picture. You notice these guys are quite skittish. Our female is
now, the only thing with, like, you see Dave, he's got it in a tub here, which is great. It's fine for the spider. Obviously, he's got holes in it and airflow. I don't like these type because I want to be able to see my spiders from the outside, just to kind of see what's going on without disturbing them as much as possible. Now, keep in mind with Dave, he's a breeder, obviously. So he's got like so many that he has to kind of keep them under wraps, and sometimes he just checks them and opens them, but probably because he sells them so often, they're not living very long in these tubs. So some do, some do. I know he's been starting to keep his Avix in like these thinner tubs that seem to work out pretty well for them, and maybe if they can make some clear ones, I might try that down the road, because my luck with Avix overall, like I had a female, like I said, that passed away not too long ago. Either got stuck in a molt or just dehydrated, didn't get enough water, and I couldn't keep an eye on it long enough to make sure it was okay. But they are a little bit trickier to keep alive. So, but here we go with more of this.
Down at the bottom there. Now, this female has only been in this enclosure for the past week. They are very heavy webbers, and there's also quite a deep substrate there, so these guys will burrow down as well. There you go, she's starting to tap already. Now, sometimes, as we've said before, when we've looked at other pairings, sometimes the males just almost like go to sleep, so we have to wake them up. Now, once we've got this kind of reaction going on now between our male and our female, we can see the female is very receptive, but our male is super cautious.
Yeah, you saw how the female was tapping. That's something that the males do too. Like I've told Missy before, like I've showed her when my Regalis and my Mysore start really tapping. Like it's a hard tap. Like it's amazing how, despite how fragile they can be as critters, how strong they are. And it's like, it's like a very big vibration they put on with those pedipalps. And so in this case for her, she's tapping the webbing to try to get the male to come down and get some nookie.
And this is the time now where we just need to leave them be. Let them take their own time.
And you can see here, now I don't know if his male just happens to be older or if it's because he's matured out. This is what he looks like. Now, mine still kind of looks like the other one, the female, in terms of the looks of the coloring. So I'm hoping that mine is definitely female based upon that. So right now I'm still just kind of up in the air, but I'm hoping that's mine is a female.
So yeah, this is one of the spiders that is often overlooked, and which is a little unfortunate because these make absolutely superb beginner spiders. They're a New World spider. They are not defensive really. They're very, very steady little spiders in that respect. They can be a little skittish in terms of tearing around. When you open the enclosure, they quite often disappear. And as we can see there, insemination is about imminent. He's right the way under there now. You can see the angle of his body, so we know he's there. There we go, there's insemination. And as soon as he was finished, she tried to grab him.
Which is a common thing that someone asked me the other day. Females of the spider species, they, even like when you talk about black widows and stuff like that, they will eat the males if they can get a hold of them. Now, a lot of times too, though, a male, when it inseminates a female, will, there's like this sort of esoteric or exotic state that the female goes into, where it's like, I guess you could say her orgasm or whatever, if you want to call it that. She gets in this state of like bliss initially. It's like a short time after the male has already inseminated her, and then that usually gives the male time to kind of get away and run. In this case, that window that he had was very, very short, so she like chased him down. Now, luckily, we're going to finish the rest of the video. He got away without any problems, but some males don't succeed in getting away. I've seen videos where the females eventually kill the male, and it's sad, but that's sort of the cycle of life, you know.
Very, very quick. He made his escape. And as we can see there now, our male is still up in the corner. Our female has moved down. So their temperament has changed. She's now looking to go away. We're now going to use the cricket tub lid to stop him going any further down, and now he's in the box.
And there you go. So that's the pairing. And, you know, like I said, the males, once they've done their duty, like I don't do any breeding. So my males are just pets, basically, which, you know, in some cases they'd be pets for anybody, even if they're breeders, but their lifespan is like 2 to 3 years most of the time, sometimes 5 if you get lucky. Females will live 10 to 15 years on the most part. I probably would have tried to do breeding. I've learned enough watching Dave to kind of get an understanding of like what you would need to prepare for and how to go about doing it. But my issue, of course, is just space and the ability to network and stuff like that as well. So it is very time consuming to do stuff like that. So outside of what I'm already doing, probably no time for that. So as a collector, I just stick to being in the hobby and collecting my favorite types of spiders that I like. And, you know, I've lost some, you know, due to being males or other issues. I've had some get sick, and it's just one of those things that happens. I was bummed when my female OBT passed from impaction, which is one of the rarities of things that happen to spiders. But that was unfortunate. And I have a male, but, you know, he's already on his end as well. But he's still kicking. He's still going about. He still eats occasionally. So he's hanging in there. I don't really have anybody near me to kind of trade or even breed it with for them like otherwise I would. But you know, it is what it is. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think about this particular tarantula? Let me know in the comments. How do you feel about them Trinidad Olive spiders, little dwarfs? Give me your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe, and I appreciate the support as always. Thank you very much at the Temperament podcast. I will see you later, and enjoy the rest of your day.